Hello, it's me. I'm back again. It is so hot and here I am making content nobody asked for. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Diane. That's all I got. That's all I have is welcome to my channel. My name is Diane if you don't know me. Today I was reflecting, actually last night during my evening shift, I was reflecting upon my life. I don't know what that accent is. About what made me who I am today, about what kind of struggles I went through, what kind of things made me so happy. I want to talk about the certain aspects of my life that have really changed my life and been like, damn, you gotta look at life a different way right now. I got a whole ass list that I am ready to talk about, so let's just get into it. The first event that had changed my life I had no part in was coming to Canada. So I was born in the Philippines and my parents brought my brother and I over when we were very young. I think I was 1.5, maybe 2 years old. My brother is a year older than me. I feel like I could say that without explaining too much about how it's changed my life, but I feel like I look back at it sometimes. If I had stayed in the Philippines, I would be a completely different person, I think. I don't know what kind of person I would be. I don't know where I would be at in life. Being in Canada, I have so many more greater opportunities and more resources and everything like that, but also all of my cousins and all of my family, aside from 1 or 2 family members, are in the Philippines, and I feel like my life would be dramatically different in a sense where I would have some sort of, I don't know, closeness with cousins. Like, I kind of envy looking at the people that were born here and the people that have family here. I envy how close they are with their families and how they have cousins that they are really close to. Number 2 is kind of fast forwarding by like 15 years. When I was in grade 12 and I got a call from my best friend at the time, and I remember that day so clearly. She said, "Diane," and I said, "Hey, what's up?" And she's like, "I'm really scared," and she was crying over the phone. And I said, "What's wrong? What happened?" And she's like, "Well, I got my biopsy results back and I have cancer." Saying it now, I still want to cry even though we're not even friends anymore. But just like remembering that moment really gives me the chills. Like, it makes me emotional all over again. At that time, I didn't know what to say, and still now to this day, I don't think I would have known what to say. I remember being on the phone and just not saying anything initially, and she's quietly crying on the other side of the phone, and I said, are you sure? When did you find out? Like, you know, those kind of questions that you just fill the void because I didn't know what to say. That was one event that I remember significantly changed my view on life. I just remember feeling so helpless that I wanted to do something, I wanted to help, but there is nothing that I could do. Like, what could I do? I helped with a fundraiser at school, raised a bunch of money for her family and for cancer research. I would go visit her when she was at the hospital. Day by day that I could see her, I didn't see her often anymore because she was doing chemotherapy, but whenever I saw her, I could see that she was completely different. She became depressed, and it was just hard for me to see that as a best friend at the time, that there's nothing that I could do to help. So I think that definitely changed my perception on life, that not everything is like rainbows and butterflies for everybody, which I mean, like, it wasn't, because that brings me, I think, to the next point. I don't want to get too much into details because, like, that's not what this is about. Obviously, just like everybody else, I feel like, you know, your teens is when you're really trying to figure out who you are, and you're basically put into a place where everybody else is trying to figure out who they are too. I'm not gonna say I was perfect. Like, I was pretty toxic when I was younger, I think, but that brought about depression, anxiety, and I felt like I didn't have a good support system at home to be like, "Hey, I'm depressed." I don't feel like I'm ready for that conversation yet. I think, you know, everybody deals with depression and everybody deals with anxiety. Everybody's self-conscious, but I think I was at a point where I just felt so worthless. One reason why I felt like I wasn't smart enough, why I wasn't good enough, is because my brother, he's a year older than me. He's very good at book smarts. I would say between the two of us, I'm more street smart. I can talk to people easier. However, he's like super book smart. He doesn't have to study quite as hard. Like, I feel like I really struggled with that because being in a Filipino household, all of the weight is put on your grades, not necessarily as who you are as a person. And I felt like I wasn't able to be my own person at the time that I was growing up, because all that mattered was grades. I'm not saying like that's the only thing that played into it, but that was like one of the things that I remember that played into me feeling like I wasn't good enough, especially for like my family and especially for myself. It was a part of my life that I remember distinctly, and I think that shaped me into becoming the person that I am now, because I remember how it felt like to hate yourself. God, that got so dark. But I remember how it feels to be that way, and every day in my life I strive to be nicer to myself. And every day in my life I feel like I should love myself a little bit more. The next one is a specific event that I remember. So I graduated in 2013. Wow, that was so long ago. Yeah, so I graduated in 2013. I applied to 3 different programs and I got all of my acceptances early. So I had all this time to think about, that sounds so braggy. I was so smart. I was just talking about how I felt like I was stupid, but anyways, so I got all of my acceptances early, so it left me a good amount of time to decide like what program I'm gonna take. But the thing is, like, when I applied for university, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had no aspirations at the time that I felt like I could pursue. I really wanted to be a psychologist or something like that because I was effed up in the head, and I felt like I wanted to help other people that were effed up in the head. Sorry, what I mean by that is like I was not mentally okay. I never took care of my mental health the way that everybody is advocating for it now, which is so great, and I'm so glad that that's becoming a thing, that mental health awareness is becoming a thing, because back in my day, I really could have used it. I kept hearing from people and like adults saying, oh, you're never gonna get a job after you graduate from psychology. Everybody goes into psychology, you're never gonna find a thing in your field, da, 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 da. So, you know, what's a girl to do? So the hardest part about everything was taking another year of high school, even though I had already gotten all of my acceptances. So I ended up rejecting all of my offers. Initially, the plan was I was gonna be a doctor because that's what my dad wanted. I just felt like I was walking in someone else's footsteps that weren't meant to be mine. I felt like I was literally just doing what everybody told me to do because like that's my entire life, is like I felt like, and I still feel like, I need to please people all the time, which sucks. And for the longest time, that's probably why I struggled with who I was as a person. I struggled with my identity because I'm like, what do I want? What do I really want? And what I wanted was to help people. But I didn't want to be a doctor. I would not be a good doctor because I feel too many feelings. I feel like sometimes I'm crying talking about this stuff, but I just feel too many feelings. If somebody comes and sees me and tells me that they're depressed and that they need help and they feel like they're gonna kill themselves, I would be like, "Miss, give me a damn hug, sit." That was one event that really changed my life, was rejecting all of my university acceptances and deciding to take another year. And I'm so glad that I did that because it literally did change my life. It changed my whole entire life. Within that extra year of high school that I took, my mom took me into work and let me see what she did at work. And then I got to visit the other parts of the lab and see what they did for work, and I fell in love. I just wish that I had seen it earlier so that I had something to look forward to, so that I had something to work towards. Because all the way through high school, I was just like, well, I guess I'm gonna be a doctor because there's nothing else that my family wants me to be, or there's nothing else that I have aspirations for. Everything came together. I decided, okay, I'm going to go to University of Ontario Institute of Technology, and I'm going to apply for the medical laboratory science program. I'm so glad that I did, because I can tell you now, I don't know if I would have made it through that health science course in Western and like actually done something with it. Like, so this next one is like basically the same as the last one, but going into the right program for me, even if it meant being a year behind. But at the same time, I wasn't even going to the same university that everybody else was, so I don't know, it didn't really matter. And all of the people that did matter to me, I still kept in contact with. Another thing that I think really changed my life, heartbreak was one of the biggest things I think that really changed my life at the time. Like losing friends and losing a person and losing a loved one. I think of heartbreak as something more than just like a relationship thing. I think of it as like a loss of a person, and to me, those things go hand in hand together. When I lose a person, it's like my heart breaks. I think it was very life-changing for me to lose somebody that that I had known ever since I was little. Fuck, I need to stop crying. Thank you. Next. Okay, all right, we're back. Going through the process of seeing a loved one be sick, going to the hospital to show support and knowing that there's nothing you can do, to going to the funeral and just experiencing all of it. Yeah, man, shit was hard. It's so hard that I can't like talk about it without crying. Oh my god. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next one. This is a specific event that I remember changed me. This happened in 3rd year, 2nd semester. I wrote an exam that I had legitimately thought I failed for the very first time, and I thought I wasn't gonna make it to 4th year. I thought I would be held back a year. I thought I was gonna fail the class. I called my parents after I wrote that exam and I cried to my parents for the very first time in my life. That might sound like it's not really a big deal, but to me, I never really showed my true emotions to my parents ever. It's hard for me to open up to my parents when I'm struggling because my parents never really did that for my brother and I when we were growing up. Like, we never really saw our parents cry. Anytime that my parents had issues, I don't even know if they had issues because they were so good at hiding it. Like, we didn't know. I only saw my mom cry occasionally, but I've never seen my dad cry ever. And it's just, I've never seen him cry ever. So you can imagine how hard it was for me to call them on the phone. They really were a good support system for me through school. Like, they were like, oh, we're always praying for you, we believe you, we know you're smart enough, you can do this. But girl, I felt like I failed myself. I felt like I failed them, and I was crying on the phone for 45 minutes. Like, not even just like a 10-minute crying thing. Like, I bawled my eyes out for 45 minutes. My school UOIT is like a 2-hour drive from my hometown. So when I called my parents, my mom was like, do you want me to get your dad to come pick you up right now? It was like 7 p.m. or something. I think it changed my life because it gave me a perspective to show that I didn't always have to be this perfect golden child, always. And I think I really struggled with that a lot as a child, is to always be perfect, always be good, always be what they want me to be. That's just who I was, and that's who I am. Like, I'm still like that. It really brought me down to this point in my life where I was like, okay, it's okay to not be perfect all the time. But I mean, I still ended up passing. I still ended up passing that exam, so I just cried and made myself worried and made my parents worried for nothing. But still, it was a moment in time where I felt like I could actually lean on my parents. I feel like I want to be so independent so much that I don't need any help from anybody. In that moment, I think I really taught myself that it's okay. It's okay to need somebody sometimes. The next event that I feel like really changed my life was actually graduating from a program that I never thought in my wildest dreams that I could ever accomplish. Like, I felt so incompetent all the time. I think I really carried that part of me of incompetency and self-worthlessness. I carried that with me all throughout university. I felt like I wasn't grasping things as quickly as other people. I was very committed all the time. I had to give up a lot of social activities. I couldn't do as many things as other people were doing. I wasn't drinking every Thursday night at Shag's. Like, I probably had like a maximum of 10 drinks all throughout my university career. Being finished with that program in the 4 years, that I don't know, it was an amazing feeling to be able to accomplish that. The last event that changed my life is falling in love. But not just with my boyfriend, okay? Falling in love with myself. I think that journey had been quite apparent through all the stories that I just told you, but finally learning to accept myself as I am, finally learning that who I am is okay, and who I am is okay for me, and it's good enough. That's it. I just love myself, okay? Like, after all these years of feeling like I'm not good enough, after all these years of thinking I'm not pretty enough, after all these years of thinking I could be better, I'm not smart enough, I'm awkward, I don't make enough friends, my friends don't like me, after all of these things in my head going, nobody likes you, your parents are disappointed in you, your friends aren't really your friends, you're the stupidest one in the class. After all of the torment that I put myself through mentally, I have learned, at least a little bit, okay? I have learned to love myself. And a bonus, fallen in love, My boo has my heart. But like, those two are very separate things. I just want to make that clear. I did not fall in love with myself when I fell in love with my boyfriend. Like, that's two completely different things. Those are two completely separate different events, but I'm like lumping them together. I fell in love with myself first, okay? I fell in love with myself first, biz, before I could love somebody else like that. So yeah, thank you guys so much for sticking around. If you aren't subscribed, please do consider it. And if you don't like me, then like, too bad, you're missing out. Just kidding, like, I'm really sorry, that was so rude. And also, please go and check out my Instagram if you guys haven't yet. And I think I'm going to do an Ask Diane Q&A thing on my Instagram, so please do follow me if you guys want to be a part of it. And until then, I will see you guys next time. Goodbye!
Natural disasters, my baby has been